I'll never forget one day, it's like a couple days before training camp started, maybe in training camp, and I'm at my locker and I'm just like tying my shoes before I like leave after practice, and Christian comes up to me and just like grabs me by the chest and he's like, "Hey, we're supposed to be freshman All-Americans. You want to have a big freshman season, and you're going to let some chick break us up?" I just got done watching the Northwestern tape from 2 weeks ago. The offense has been efficient. It's been they've taken care of the football. Of everything Drew Aller's done, his best stat is he hasn't turned the ball over. He's distributed it well. The receivers, I think, have played pretty well. The one thing they haven't been is overly explosive.
Give me top 2 or 3 Penn State moments.
When I think about my Penn State and the time there, the one moment that I'll never forget is I remember Bill O'Brien. He's like 28-point fucking underdogs. Even like that week of practice, I think it was like O'Brien never would talk about like outside noise, outside media.
He stormed out of the team meeting room, went up the thing, and all you just heard him was screaming, like kicking fucking trash cans as he's walking up the thing. And like everyone was like, oh, even the coaching staff was like, "Where's he going?" Like everyone was like, "What is going on?" He just walked out. It was like 24-point dogs. You kidding me?
Bebo, you remember when Hack missed the meeting? You remember that?
That was like.
It was right after Michigan.
Yeah, it's like OB's like kid, like his own son.
Oh, it was like his son. He was so disappointed, dude. And it got to Bill O'Brien that I got written up again. He's like, "How many?" This is before the freshman season. He said, "How many passes have you called at Penn State?" And I was like, "None." And he goes, "And you will never fucking catch one if you get written up again."
Quarterback sneak right side, touchdown, Penn State!
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated it.
State media fans, we got Glance. Brought to us by our guy Ladonis, one of my former teammates. This thing's spectacular. It's got like over 20 sports leagues, over 300 different teams. You can throw crypto, finance, all kinds of stuff, super customizable. This thing's going to be a mainstay for the Mercury podcast here at State Media and The Pocket. Make sure you guys check them out.
Visit www.glance-led.com and make every moment more. Shout out to Glance and Ladonis, Penn State teammate, doing it big. Hit us up like we were doing with The Pocket. And we're always looking to help elevate each other. So go check out Glance.
Give these guys a look, man. I think it's a great product, and it's definitely going to be something that's going to be a mainstay for this show. Penn State fans, I know you guys saw this on my social, but we're going to hit it again here in The Pocket. October 16th, used to be October 5th. We moved it to October 16th. At Champs Downtown location, you are going to see a live Pocket podcast along with the Lion's Den and Adonis Hawkins and his crew over there. Everything's free. There's going to be a chance to mingle. We're going to have some guests come down. Chop Robinson's going to be one of them. That was just released tonight. So if you are a Penn State football fan and you are in State College on Monday, October 16th, and you are not at Champs, I don't know if you qualify as a Penn State football fan. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Come get some good eats, some drinks, meet the guys, kick it, ask us questions. It's going to be a great time. So better see you guys there. State College, Downtown Champs, October 16th.
Yo, guys, we got the merch.
We have hats, shirts, hoodies, we got it all. Make sure you hit the link in the description, check it out.
You guys keep buying the merch. It allows us to produce this pod and continuing to bring you guys dope content.
So go check it out. Make sure you tag us at State Media PSU. And when you get yours, make sure you shout us out. We'll give you a shout out online.
Check it out. Looking forward to the support, and we appreciate you guys as always.
We're back. It's The Pocket. It's Breneman Bowl. We got UMass, and we have none other than Adam Breneman here. And I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm not going to lie. My feelings are hurt. My behind is chapped. I was so excited that Adam was going to prioritize his Penn State side, his boys, his roommates, the guys he came in with, grinded with, 6 a.m. summer workouts with fits, killing us, slipping slides and all.
Sleds.
I I thought he was going to prioritize his guys, but I just found out that we are number 2. I thought we were getting the exclusive Breneman Bowl content, but we are number 2 on the totem pole here, as he just got off a podcast with the UMass side of this bowl prior to us. So my feelings are a little hurt, Brandon. I don't know about you, bud.
Nah, yeah. I mean, as you said, he double booked us, man. He double booked us. And put us on the tail end of the double booking.
This guy's texting me all day, telling me how fired up he is to get on the pocket. I did 2 episodes on his podcast, never double booked him. It's just, you find out who your real friends are sometimes here in the real world.
Can I just get a chance to defend myself quick? Do I get a comment?
Okay. We got an hour.
To my defense, we never confirmed an exact time to go live. So I was thinking, like, we'll just kind of play it by ear. So, of course, I booked another one right before. It went a little bit long. So that's on me. But we never confirmed an exact time.
I believe I did say, and Brandon, you can correct me. I know we have receipts here. Somewhere between 7:45 and 8 o'clock. And I just come to find out I log on at 7:45, at 7:55. I'm calling somebody. I get call denied.
That's bad.
Twice, actually. Just trying to get an email address to get a invite out to this thing.
Yeah, I got to be better than that. That's inexcusable.
I mean, bud. And like I said, just find out who your real friends are. So my behind's chapped. We are happy to have you on here, but I think I just think that we have a lot of work to do here in this relationship.
We do. We got a long way to go. I mean, I've known you for a long, long time. This might be the biggest fight we've ever had.
I actually don't think that it is. Now that you bring that up, and I did tease some of this stuff. Adam did not talk to me our entire freshman training camp.
Bro,
I think until I don't think he talked to me until I came down and sat next to him about a week before it was Syracuse week and said, "Hey man, you got to get your head out of your ass.
You're going here. You're going here with the story.
We're going to play Syracuse here, and you're supposed to be the savior of the program. You're supposed to restore the roar. You're not even talking to your starting quarterback." And there may have been some things that escalated between a mutual friend of ours, but that's neither here nor there.
A mutual friend. All right, hold on. I got to tell my side of that story.
No, AB. You can tell that side of your story, but I'm thinking that this might be the only story that's never been told by Adam Breneman.
It probably is. I never told this story. We're going to leave out a lot of details in this because it was a long time ago. Out of respect for everyone involved. There was a point in time, our freshman year, where Christian, back in our day, I forget exactly how it happened or what happened, but Christian decided to steal my girlfriend. So this was freshman year, Penn State, before Christian was a married man. And I was very young and very upset. So for about a month during the off season, I remember, and Hack and I were like best friends at this time. I didn't talk to Christian for literally a month. Like, didn't talk to him. We'd be in the weight room lifting, like wouldn't look at him, just ignored him the whole time. And I'll never forget one day, it's like a couple days before training camp started, maybe in training camp, and I'm at my locker and I'm just like tying my shoes before I like leave after practice, and Christian comes up to me and just like grabs me by the chest and he's like, "Hey, we're supposed to be freshman All-Americans. You want to have a big freshman season, and you're going to let some chick break us up?" And you were like, "Stop being soft. Let's go beat Syracuse." And I was like, "Let's go." And we hugged it out.
Let's go.
I think that might be the only story that you haven't ever told. That might be the only thing that's not been told.
Our friendship got off to a rocky start, and then we had a good season.
When did you guys meet? Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm privy to that. Or when and where? Was that Penn State recruiting visit or?
I believe you got some DMs or not DMs. I think they were instant messengers on Facebook back then.
Yeah.
regarding something along the lines of the University of Virginia.
Yeah, it was Virginia. Everyone was telling me Hack was going to UVA, and I liked Virginia too. I think the head coach was Mike London at the time. Is that right?
Yep.
And then I hit up Hack. I slid into his DMs. I mean, I was sliding the DMs 10 years ago, just to Hack, and and said, "Where are we going?" And then Penn State came in the mix. Yeah. And then Bebo, I'm trying to think when I met you. Actually, was it our recruiting visit?
It had to be. I mentioned it on the first episode of The Pocket, and we'll throw them in on this episode. But I found the screenshots back in those Facebook DMs. Both you guys, come join the squad. The two saviors of the program. I couldn't say no. I was like, oh.
Well, that's a good intro, and I will say this: I did not steal Adam's girlfriend. But that's I'm going to get the last word there because I can.
Because it's your pod.
Correct. Yeah, for the first time. It's my pod.
I'll say the podcast you came on for me to this day, the most viewed, most listened, most downloaded, most interacted with podcasts in the history of my podcast is Christian Hackenberg Tells All. It is still the standard for what a podcast should be. And to be honest, Christian, a lot. I'll be like at even not Penn State stuff. Like I'll be at like the freaking Colorado game, and like some college football fan will be like, "I loved your podcast with Christian Hackenberg." So you definitely crushed it on that thing. You came. I was a little nervous, but you came ready to talk, which got me excited. Because Bebo, you know how sometimes he don't want to talk. Sometimes he's in his mood. He ain't talking, but he showed up. He showed up with a coffee, and I was like, "Oh, he's ready to roll."
Might have something else in that cup. I don't know.
Nah. I had to drop. I'm semi-responsible now because I'm a father. So with that, let's get into the nitty-gritty, man. We're going to talk some ball. AB, I think this college football landscape's been awesome. And I have listened to some of your short-form stuff, and I do remember, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you had a little bit of a take on the college football playoff expansion. Is that correct?
I've had multiple takes and my thoughts have evolved, but I'm trying to think of which one you're going to bring up because I've done a lot of videos on expansion.
I'm trying to bring up the one where you were kind of against it, and I understand that most people who are more in the media than I am oftentimes have takes that do evolve and don't die on mountains. So I respect you for learning. But anyway, it's more on the side of that. But you've been around, you've been calling games, you coached. You've been around a lot of successful coaches in this media path that you've been taking, interviewing guys, talking to guys. I think this year is a great depiction of what's to come and why the college football playoff expansion is A, necessary, and B, going to be really good for the game due to the dispersion of talent. I think, you can look 1 to 15 and you got players. I mean, Penn State sitting at 6. Washington, Oregon, like they're players sitting in the bottom half of the top 10. Yeah. And as you expand down beyond that, you got teams that can go out and compete with anybody on that list up and down. So, I just kind of wanted to get your take on that. You've talked to a lot of coaches. You're seeing the different approaches. What's your take on that with my take on the dispersion of talent, A, and then B, just the overall development? And do you think that the college football playoff is going to be something that is good for the game? And do you think that the way the season has played out is going to be kind of something we're going to see more and more in the future of super, super competitive, like 1 through 15?
Yeah. I mean, this season there's been more parity in college football than we've seen in a long time. I mean, you look at even the disagreement, but normally between analysts, it's kind of like 1 through 4 on the top 25 is kind of like consensus, and the debate comes in at like team 8, right? Now it's like every analyst has a different number 1 team. I have Michigan number 1. A lot of people have Georgia. I've seen Oklahoma number 1 this week. So like the parity is there in college football where literally there's maybe 10 teams that could realistically make the playoff, maybe more, maybe 15, that like you wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoff. I mean, everywhere from even look at teams like, have we written Alabama off too early? I mean, they're not out of the mix. I mean, there's a lot of there's programs. No one's talking about UNC. Like there's a lot of programs even at the 10 to 13 range that are still in that hunt. So when we talk about the playoff, the reason at the beginning and when I thought about it a lot that I was not against it, but just kind of like let's hold our horses because the college football has been really good for a long time. The playoff has been exciting since it's been in existence, the 14 playoff. That just changing rules and changing things isn't always the best way to fix things. College football is the best sport in the world because the regular season matters so much. I've stood by that. It's the reason that a week 2 college football game will get better ratings than the NBA Finals on TV. A regular season game like Oklahoma, Texas will do better ratings than the MLB World Series, will do better ratings than March Madness, everything. Regular season game, that didn't mean anything because the regular season matters so much. Those teams can't afford to lose games. Every game matters. And when you expand the playoff, it's like supply and demand, right? Like you create more of something, everything's worth a little bit less. It's like inflation of games. Like you created more games, everything means a little bit less. And it means that regular season means a little bit less. It means that, some teams can lose week 2 and still make the playoff. Some teams can lose 2 games and still make the playoff. And then, so that means that those games don't mean as much. Then the playoff games don't quite mean as much. And then the conference championship doesn't quite mean it. So like it's a trickle down effect to the entire thing. There's more games doesn't always mean better games and a better product, was my point.
Yeah.
Although with this season, I have changed my tune on wanting to see an expanded playoff because I was just doing a bracket the other day on my 12, like what that would look like what an expanded playoff would look like. And it's, even just looking at the top 25 and who could possibly make it. An expanded playoff is certainly going to be a great thing for the game. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great for the players. Do I think it'll make the regular season games a little bit less important? Yes. I think we can all concede that. But overall, I'll take making the regular season games slightly less important. I'll accept that if it means we get a more exciting, bigger pool for the college football playoff. That makes sense?
That does. It does. I can buy that. I think the other thing, though, is you're going to see a slow deterioration of the out-of-conference schedules and a bigger focus on conference, right? Because you're going to have to position yourself for wins within your conference to be ultimately one of the top 2 teams in your conference to get into the conversation of the college football playoff. If we're going to still stay in the Power 5 with the AAC or whatever. Being a 6 wild card.
Does that drive teams to go out and play at West Virginia week 1? Even as out of conference, but a formidable opponent, not the,
I think it's going to be more of an NFL model where you're going to go out and the best is going to play the best because you're going to have to do it. So you're going to get better games early, but then it's going to be a battle of attrition towards the end where you hit the playoffs and you may have a team like Texas who trips up early and then gets hot at the end and goes and beats everybody, which I think is cool, man. I think you're just going to see teams that get opportunities that they didn't get in the past. And there's no longer that because realistically speaking, past 12, if you're complaining that you're 15, you should have done more than the regular season to put yourself.
Well, and to speak on the NFL model, like you just said, Hack, there's NFL coaches I've heard openly talk about how the beginning of the season doesn't really matter that much. And the preseason's still kind of in existence for the first few weeks of the NFL season, that you got to be playing your best ball when it comes to November. You got to be feeling really good about your team. I think the schedule point you make is interesting and how different programs handle it. I saw James Franklin today in his press conference talked about there's a team in the Big Ten, and I think it's got to be one of the either Ohio State, Michigan, or maybe even a Maryland, who are actively trying to buy themselves out of non-conference games because they want to play easier opponents. And I think, too, it's the point I made the other week on social media about the Penn State Pitt battle, right? Everyone's talking about why doesn't Penn State play Pitt? Why won't Penn State play Pitt? And the reason is because Penn State doesn't get anything out of that. Penn State doesn't benefit whatsoever. Pitt does. Penn State doesn't. Penn State loses the game, all hell breaks loose. They win. It's a game they should win. It does nothing, and they'd rather a lot of times play an easier non-conference opponent. So, there's both ways to look at it. Are they going to go schedule bigger opponents, and are they going to try to get good wins on the schedule? Because now we have the automatic qualifiers, and then we have the at-large bids that are going to be available too. So it's going to be interesting in how head coaches approach it, and how athletic directors approach it when it comes to scheduling.
I think conference realignment is going to play a role in that too. I think that's coming down the line too, where I think that there's going to be a drastic change in the next 5 years in college football from a conference realignment standpoint that is almost going to eliminate the ability for you to go out and schedule a game like we have this weekend with a UMass or like a Delaware game or something. I think it's going to eliminate that possibility for us, but that's a deeper conversation.
And I mean, we could talk about this all day, but just the lack of continuity across college football is going to have to change pretty soon. One of the wildest things to me in college football is that the people in charge of governing college football that make all the decisions are the school presidents and the conference commissioners, right? That's who makes all the decisions. Mm-hmm. Those people who govern college football, the same people are also governing women's lacrosse, track and field, women's basketball, swimming and diving. Like, there's not one person who just has college football's best interests at heart and is governing college football. Like, the thought that, like, the people in charge of this sport also are in charge of all those other non-revenue sports is, like, really doesn't make sense at the end of the day when you think about it. And it's why there's no continuity. And then, like, you talked about conference realignment, Hack. The fact that the SEC plays one less conference game than the Big Ten, like, that makes no sense. Like, if I'm James Franklin, if I'm Jim Harbaugh, if I'm Ryan Day, we want to play one less conference game because we're like, who are we competing with? We're competing with the SEC for playoff spots. So like the continuity, like at some point pretty soon, we're going to see the NCAA get out of the regulation, the governance part of it, or at least the infraction part, like governing actual NCAA violations. Yes, get out of that part. And we're going to see some kind of either like Power 5 commissioner, like some kind of college football commissioner come in, and the college football programs could be breaking off of the NCAA. At some point soon, it's a big enough business, there's going to have to be a college football commissioner that's in charge of college football and doesn't have to worry about making sure it's fair for all the other sports and just has college football's best interests at heart.
Right.
That's interesting, man.
The inside take from the great AB. Giving us an inside peek into the NCAA.
Well, I mean, when you think about that I got that from Joel Klatt. The whole he made that comment, but like you think like NFL is like the NFL commissioner, like the fact that like the people making the decisions on conference realignment on everything, they're not in charge of college football. They're in charge of all sports around, and no one's just like looking out for college football.
Well, and what's pretty interesting is that they make some of the decisions they make. They're looking out for all sports.
Yeah.
Like bringing USC and UCLA into the Big Ten, and now, or what was it?
Are you against Big Ten expansion?
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out like how the schedule is sending a baseball team out there, and they're going to have to be gone for 2 weeks because you're not going to charter a flight out for 2 times to go play USC and UCLA, early in the baseball season, middle of the baseball season, and then they're going to be out of class for 2.5 weeks. So there's just a lot of logistics that go into it, and that's why I've always said I think it's going to be an NFL model, a North and a South, and then you're going to have 5 or 6 subdivisions in the North and 5 or 6 subdivisions in the South, and that's ultimately how you're going to get to it. But, we'll see what happens. B, what you got cooking, bro?
Not much, man. We're talking about AB, moving and grooving, doing his thing out there. I'm loving everything we're seeing. Inspiring. It truly is. And we got a chance to be a part of a few teams, and you're just witnessing a lot of good college football. Kind of wanted to ask you guys, with the Red River rivalry just passed last week, if you can go lace them up right now, what's a rivalry game in college football that you'd want to play for or play in?
Ooh.
I got mine right now. No question.
Okay. What is it?
Army Navy. No question.
Oh, okay.
No question, dude. And I wouldn't even want to play quarterback.
Fullback?
Put me at fullback or H-back, dude. I want to go full head of steam for 70 plays and just bash my face into somebody else's.
Taking knees up.
Come on.
You are like an Army Navy guy. Like you're just
my uncle played in 4 of them. My uncle was a West Point guy. But there's something about that game, dude. It gets its own weekend, the hype going into it. Like we played in games at Penn State that are pretty big, and like I'm sure the Cotton Bowl special with the Red River rivalry, I'm sure the game is special, but like I feel like it's like going and playing Michigan or going and playing Ohio State or going and playing Wisconsin. Like I feel like that feels the same. I just feel like you don't get there's no way to replicate an Army Navy game.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a great one. I don't know how I top that one. I'm going to go with, I'm trying to think of something like creative, like Hack just said. Like I'm trying
I
to
didn't see that one coming.
I mean, like the rivalry game to me, that's like that we've never been part of, that I've always like wanted to be part of, or at least see, is the Alabama-Auburn game. Like that's something that I think is like, it just, the down south is just a little bit more passionate down there about it. What's that? The Iron Bowl. I think that would be a cool game to at least be part of. I want to go see, like at least see one in person and be part of it. I think there's a great one this weekend in Oregon, Washington. I mean, it's not a huge like rivalry, but they're rivals, and I think that'll be a fun one this coming weekend we get to watch too.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see Notre Dame this weekend too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
After Notre Dame's tough loss to Louisville. Not good.
Surprising loss.
Yeah.
Shoot, man.
Hey, what do we think about, not that this is my podcast, I'm asking questions, but Hack, wanted to ask you and about Mario Cristobal handing the ball off at the end of the game and not taking a knee. So
My God.
what I'm trying to figure out is like, I can't wrap my head around like how that actually happens. Like how it happens where that gets allowed to, like, is it just a mistake that like they didn't realize they could run the clock out? Or were they?
Well, the funny thing is, this, like how many guys are getting paid to be football coaches that are on that headset
that are telling them, just take a knee.
But I'm saying, like, whether they told him or like how that chain of command didn't like someone run out there and bang it, like, I don't know, bang a timeout and be like, what are we doing or something? That's a head scratcher. It sucks, dude. Because I was pulling for Miami to get hot, and it'd be like the Miami Florida State game be a crazy game. It still might be, but that's a swift kick in the nuts.
Brutal.
I think I see it in basketball. I've been on sidelines. It's just chaos that goes on. And like you said, there's so many guys on the sideline. It brings me to the Boston Celtics playoff game where the coach should have called a timeout and he didn't. And everyone's like, oh, what are you thinking? And it's like, there's no assistant coach that's sitting right there like, yo, call timeout. I don't know. It's a tough look. The kid was down, though. The proof is where he's down. He was down, but either way. And it's Mario Cristobal's second time doing that?
Yeah, that's the worst part.
Yeah, it's a tough look. But, hey, coaches fuck up, man. Players get all the rap, but coaches, they make mistakes. I mean, I think he came out and owned up to it, but they definitely make mistakes. Shoot. That's a tough.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's been a great college football season so far, and we've had so many things happen, good, bad, ugly, and different to talk about, and like it's just halfway here, man. Like we still got so much more to cook up, which is fantastic. But at least right now, for our hometown boys, the Penn State Nittany Lions, we got UMass. As I've said, the Breneman Bowl. As I said, my feelings are hurt because I thought we were going to get an exclusive with the Breneman Bowl, but my guy had to sell his soul to the UMass Collective up there and get on a podcast. Not knocking those guys. Good job on I guess having a tight schedule and inviting somebody there that I didn't know I needed to because I thought our relationship ran a little bit deeper. And no, my feelings are not hurt at all.
You sound like Sickles last week bringing up the Ohio State.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I think this is an interesting one because historically speaking, this came up last week actually as well. Penn State's been real kind of sketchy coming off of bye weeks under Coach Franklin. I forget the exact statistic, but I think it's something like 3 or 4 and 8 or 7 or something like that. It's not good. And I referenced how usually we've had Ohio State bye week, then like Michigan or Michigan bye week. Like it's always kind of been sandwiched in between two really, really good opponents. And, I think that's both boded well and bad and whatever, however you want to take it. But we got, let's say it, a much lesser opponent here in UMass coming to town.
What do you mean by that?
You know what I mean by that, Adam.
I'm just kidding.
What are you trying to say, man?
Just go ahead.
I know, but I mean, I'm calling a spade, dude.
Yeah,
I don't got
42-point underdogs. 42-point underdogs.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, Vegas is putting it on the table with what I'm saying. I mean, they're not cryptic about it, but you coached at Arizona State. You've been part of like bye weeks and the processes of bye weeks. And for Penn State, like I said, I'm kind of teeing this up with UMass being here. What do you want to see out of this coaching staff specifically? Because I think these players have gone out and done a really good job of executing week in, week out. Coming off the bye week, obviously a ton of internal study. I think that there was probably some forward thinking and working on Ohio State coming down the pipe. But what do you want to see this week that shows growth and maturity in the program? And ultimately what's going to, I think, define if we are ready to be not just the spoilers of the Big Ten. Can we go out and get one from Ohio State, but be able to be like, we're at this table, boys. Like this is a dog eat dog world. We're all in the jungle. What are you looking to see out of this coaching staff?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a few things. One is like great teams have to handle business when they have to handle business, and Penn State needs to handle business against UMass. I know it's cliche. They got to start fast and just put their foot on the gas and don't let up and don't look ahead. I just got asked this on the last pod. Like, how do they not look ahead to Ohio State? I mean, because you can't. Like, you can't slip up. This can't be. If you're Penn State, this can't be a close game. You can't win by 14 points. Like, you have to dominate UMass in today's college football with the playoff committee and everything. Like, you have to win this game by a lot. I want to see the offense. I just got done watching the Northwestern tape from 2 weeks ago. The offense has been efficient. It's been they've taken care of the football. Of everything Drew Aller's done, his best stat is he hasn't turned the ball over. He's distributed it well. The receivers, I think, have played pretty well. The one thing they haven't been is overly explosive. Now, I'll make the argument that anytime you average 40 points a game and 450 yards a game of offense, you're explosive. But they haven't been explosive in the running game as far as like actual explosive plays. And they haven't been super explosive in the passing game. And again, like I think you can make the argument that they haven't had to be, and they've played this style of football that's going to win games. But in order for me to believe that Penn State can win one of the big two, I want to see them be more explosive on offense and be able to push the ball down the field. And this, Chris, like both of you, like the challenge for a quarterback all the time is accuracy, all that stuff's important, right? Like it's all great, but can you push the ball down the field without turning it over? Like that's the challenge. We haven't really seen Aller push it down the field all that much, which again plays into probably how they design the game plans, what they need to do when your defense plays as well as they have, and the opponents you're playing, you don't need to push it down the field that much. But at some point, they're going to take some shots down the field. They're going to need to throw the ball to beat Michigan and Ohio State. So I think that's the big thing. That the one question mark maybe is like how explosive is this offense, and the running game, explosiveness or not. This running game is supposed to be the strength of the team. The running back is supposed to be the strength of the team. I want to see them get loose a little bit and break a big one.
B, what do you got for that? Like, what are you echoing the same stuff Adam just said, or do you got something to add?
I mean, it's hard not to. We talked about it last week, and everything you just said, obviously, you're dropping 40 points. It's hard to complain and nitpick. So I just heard Franklin go off in the presser earlier about, chucking the ball deep.
Yeah.
And I know where he's coming from, but also feel for the reporter where he's saying, are there any design plays to go deep, and are you going to let loose, let loose, throw the deep ball if you have one-on-one. At least I'm saying that. If you have one-on-one and it's an advantageous situation, do so. But I would like to see that as well. I mean, we keep talking about the stable of athletes they have and the receivers. They got the big kid from Florida State. It would be nice to see. It's fun to watch as a fan. Strictly a fan, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
From the passing game. But also it's like you're protecting this young quarterback. As we said, 0 interceptions, less risks. It bodes well for his confidence. And as we know, you throw the ball up there, it's 50-50 ball no matter how you see it. So I understand it.
It's funny you say that because I mean, both of you guys played with me. Like I was always kind of that gunslinger mentality. Like I'm gonna take my shots. Like I'm gonna take my chances. I think with Drew, and I said this last week, I just don't think he's comfortable seeing it. Like even the double move they threw against Northwestern, I thought he was just late. And, like, the ball carried kind of out of the back of the end zone, and they ran through my guy Joe Herman's face. in the pictures. Like,
it took a
I just
beating.
thought it was lit. Like, I just think he's not like quite on the same page with those guys in terms of like throwing the ball with anticipation. And the minute he feels any sink or doesn't see a really clear picture, he takes the efficient play, which I can't knock the kid for that. That's staying on schedule, and that's great. But the other thing is I don't really see these receivers like creating tons and tons of separation. You know, you look at the big explosives early in the season with like the West Virginia, where Keandre like threw that ball late. Keandre made a great play, scored, whatever. But he had some pocket movement, made some unnecessary move. I just think it's like he's got to settle in. They got to take the training wheels off though, because he's going to have to play well coming up.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great week to like test those things. To your point, Abe, like not just chuck it up, but have some design shots. And another thing is we got that stable of tight ends. We use them really well in the red zone. I think that's a great way to create explosives with advantageous mismatches in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And I think those guys are going to create some more separation than maybe these receivers are doing at this moment. So
And those tough catches.
that's it.
I thought that Coach Franklin's rant. Did you see that, Hack? Did you see that today? I thought his rant about for the fans listening, like a reporter asked, "Why don't you just have Drew like throw it deep no matter what and chuck the ball up in the to one of your receivers?" And we all know Coach Franklin very well. Like we all knew what the reporter was asking, right? and he very made a decision to make a point of trying to making the guy look stupid for the question. It was a bad question, but like we all knew what he meant. But made a point and said we would never do that. We would never just throw it deep on purpose, like blah, blah. And I thought that you can infer a lot about that. Like that tells me one, there's a lot of talk on social media about the offense not being explosive, about Aller not pushing the ball down the field, about not being able to create big plays. That clearly shows some frustration from Coach Franklin's part about that narrative, right? And what he's really saying by making a point with the reporter is just that if we don't have to throw the ball down the field, if the 10-yard completion is there, if the check down's there, if the tight end stick route's there, like we're going to throw it every time and be efficient on offense and move the chains. And that the offense has been really good despite not creating a ton of explosive plays. So I just thought that was interesting. And there's always more than just he just hated the question by the reporter. He's making a point and strategically making it because he's frustrated, in my opinion, about the narrative online and around the program that the offense isn't explosive. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think it's situationally too. Like I think setting Drew up on second and shorts and being able to take those shots and know that you got I think it's just not telling him to chuck it, but basically saying we're throwing this post or to this over to the check down and work through it. But if it's even a maybe, start maybe thinking about it. I'm sure those conversations are coming up where if it's trust your guy to run it and he's got it. So I think it's just part of his development and we're going to get there. Now with that, AB, let's take it to the UMass side, right? They're coming into a game where they're 42-point dogs. You've played in some really big games at UMass, big venues, Florida. I'm missing probably two or three others. But what's the mindset like in that locker room? I think that's a unique perspective that you probably aren't going to be able to get much else as a guy who's played in both sides of this. What's that perspective like? Just getting prepared mentally and the coaching staff, and obviously you're going to play to win the fucking game, but what's the mindset like?
Yeah, I think back to the times when I was at UMass, and for those 2 years, I mean, we were independent, which they still are. We played a ton of really big opponents. Our program got paid a lot of money to play in those games, and we were 30+ point underdogs for almost all of them. And we almost beat a lot of those teams. I mean, you look back at the scores on some of those games. I mean, my senior year at UMass, we were at Tennessee and had a drive to win the game. We were 35-point underdogs for that game. We were at South Carolina. I had 2 touchdowns in that game. We lost by 8 points. We had the ball to tie it up, didn't score to end the game. We were 30-some point underdogs. I mean, there were big games that we played in. I think, it's hard – because it's obviously a new staff, different players. We always went into those games knowing, one, that you had absolutely nothing to lose. And we all felt because our program at that point was built on a lot of Power 5 transfers, me, Andrew Ford, a lot of guys that had played big-time football that all went to play at UMass. We believed that we could beat these guys. And we're we're actually better than a lot of these players. If player to player. So we always had that confidence. I think Mark Whipple, who's our head coach then, did a great job of just like letting us play loose and play mistake free and taking shots early in the game and trying to get momentum at everything, every way possible. I do think the one thing that Coach Whipple did a good job of in those games, I look back and like think about how we managed those. Coach Whipple was really big on momentum and just that you got to try to get momentum on your side as soon as possible. And then when we got momentum, a lot of times in those kind of games, he would do everything to try to keep the momentum and just like almost play a little bit more conservative when you get momentum to try to get to the second half with a close game. So like we would have a big drive, we'd take shots on the field, like a lot of those games we played hurry up. We would go just like 2 minute drill all game. But then like once we scored and it's 7-7, like all right, let's hold the ball now and have an 8 minute drive. So I thought he did a good job in that of managing it from that standpoint, because really your goal is to get to the second half with a 1-score game. If you get the second half 1-score game, anything can happen. You kind of then you're just playing ball and you're trying to win the game, but you can't get blown out in the first half. So it all starts with belief. I think. And being able to play risk-free, like this is, like without any hesitation, because for UMass, like no one expects you to win it. Take some shots, go play ball, have some fun. You lose by 45, no one cares, right? It's just like it is what it is. And if you lose by 2 touchdowns, it's like you won the game. So UMass just has to go play fun.
They got after it up at UMass, dog. They got after it.
Got after it, man. Got after it. So yeah, it's. Yeah, it should be a great for college football, like for players at UMass to get this kind of exposure, play on Big Ten Network, on national TV, and be able to play in this kind of atmosphere will be really cool.
For sure.
Well, offensively, man, I'm excited about it. I just hope that they start opening up a little bit, they start catching a rhythm, and they keep doing what they're doing. I think if they just keep chopping wood, stuff's gonna pop. And I know that's not what Penn State fans want to hear. We're all impatient. We want to see the explosiveness.
We've been used to it for the last few years. I mean, come on.
That's true. But I think we just got to keep chopping wood here, and got a big one coming up after it. So, B, what you got for the defense, bro?
Yeah, man. For the defense, coming off a bye week, as we said, record has not been too great. We've got UMass coming up. I want to see, crispness, It's a chance for guys to the coaches and the players to really hone in on the finer details. For defense, for me, it's formation recognition. It's route recognition in the routes. AB just hit a great point. It's how can these teams get momentum? It's explosive play in a run or the pass game. We saw it against Delaware. Gave them an inch of light with that big run. Next thing you know, they're fired up. And, a slightly better team can capitalize off that. So, I don't want to see any of those type of plays, and that comes with alignment and assignment pretty much, just the regular details back to kind of camp mode. We've been talking about this D-line every week, and the linebackers at front seven, gap accountability. There's no excuse to why UMass should be banging you out of a gap, and they're going for 80. So those are kind of the smaller things that I'm looking to see. And just continue to fly around and be fast, man. I mean, got to start fast, as the defense has been doing for majority of the season, but it could be a little scary if the defense comes out a little slow, and the offense is maybe not clicking the way they're supposed to be.
That's been a big thing, is the defense is giving the offense short fields. I said that last week, but they've given them a lot of short fields. I
mean, I kind of look at it like all this Dak Prescott kind of downpour this last week or two. His record, not comparing him to RQB or anything like that, but just saying an offense playing with a great defense definitely obviously helps a lot. I don't want to be on the side where the defense maybe isn't there one week. Obviously, the better opponents are coming. So we need to be clicking on all cylinders. And one more point. I'll add, I'm looking to see explosiveness out of the special teams unit. That's one thing no one's really talked about because we're beating teams by 40. Yeah. But I want to see that. They played the old Saquon kick return touchdown on homecoming week with the fresh white unis that they're wearing this week. And they got me thinking, like, I need to see another kick return. I need to see kick return, punt return.
We haven't had that in a minute.
Yeah.
We had a couple of those a year for like the last 3 or 4 years now.
That's what I'm saying. So that's one key that I'd look to hopefully we expound on that. I got the young kid Sanders back there in punt return. Speedy, I want to see something, man. Get a little risky back there.
I like it. You got anything for AB?
AB. Yeah, I got a few questions for AB. Let's see.
Oh boy.
No, nothing like that. But just honestly, both you guys, give me starting with AB. Give me top 2 or 3 Penn State moments, whether on the field, classroom, in the dorms, whatever it may be. Top 2, 3, 1, whatever.
Okay. When I think about my Penn State and the time there, the one moment that I'll never forget is was the locker room after the Wisconsin game 2013. I think that we all played well in that game, and I think that was a big moment. We were speaking of being big underdogs. What were we, 28-point underdogs?
Yeah.
Remember Bill O'Brien? He's like
28-point
fucking underdogs. I remember before the game, even like that week of practice, I think it was like O'Brien never would talk about like outside noise, outside media. I remember the Vegas lines came out and it was 28 points, and he like came in 20. I think it was 28, and he came in the team meeting room and he just started the meeting. He's like, 28 points, 28-point underdogs against Wisconsin, and he just went on one of his rants. But that was a big week. I mean, that was a fun time.
I'm going to interject here. Do you remember? I think it was after the walkthrough, because we had like a shitty walkthrough, and he came in and lit us up about that, and then he stormed out of the team meeting. Do you remember that? He stormed out of the team meeting room, went up the thing, and all you just heard him was screaming, like kicking fucking trash cans as he's walking up the thing, and like everyone was like. Oh, even the coaching staff was like, "Where's he going?" Like everyone was like, "What is going on?" He just walked out. It was like 24-point dogs. You kidding me? Because trash can goes and he's just walking, and like you hear the door slam, and he's still screaming as he's walking out. Lash going up to the coach's office. I remember that like it was yesterday. Now that you brought that up, that was hilarious.
We need OB on there. We got to reach out to OB. And I mean, the Patriots are going through a little rough patch right now, but
Bebo, you remember when Hack missed the meeting? Remember that?
That was like
it was right after Michigan.
Yeah, it's like OB's like kid, like his own son.
Oh, it was like his son. He was so disappointed, dude. Dude, I'll never forget Charlie Fisher.
For half the damn meeting.
I'll never forget Charlie Fisher, who was the quarterback's coach. O'Brien's like middle of the meeting, and he's like, "Where's Christian?" Because he sat right in the middle, and then O'Brien's like looking around. He's like, "Where the hell's Christian?" And then Charlie Fisher, the quarterback's coach, is like sitting right there, and now he starts panicking. And then O'Brien's like, "Charlie, where's Christian?" And Charlie Fisher was like, "I thought you knew where he was." And that was the wrong answer.
Where were you, Christian? That's the question.
O'Brien was like, "Go fucking get him."
Oh man, that's the worst text to wake up to. Yo, where are you? At 4.
I was halfway across Pollock Commons when Coach Fisher finally called me, and I'm like, "I'm coming," and I just hung up. Like I didn't even give him any time to say that. Like, I was full sprint. Yeah. I didn't get much sleep that weekend, and I'm not selling out my roommate, but my alarm went off. He was walking out. I'm like, "Yo, wake me up in 15 minutes," and
didn't happen, huh?
It happened.
So I remember a quick OB story, and not really a story, but a moment. I don't think I ever told anyone this, but I remember it was me and Richie Anderson. Remember Rich? We're just on a knee in Haluba. It might have been that Wisconsin week, or it was late in the season because it was cold. That's why we were in Haluba. We're just on a knee doing a water break or something. OB walks past. He goes, you guys are going to play in some bowl games. And we're like, okay, where? He's like, nah, you guys are going to be good. And just thinking like, just foreseeing, I don't know, this is before everything came out, obviously, with the release of the band, bowl band. I remember sitting there like, that made me feel good. I also thought he was going to be our coach throughout that time.
Or maybe that was some foreshadowing when he said, "You guys." Not you should have told me about that shit, B.
He's like, "I'm out of here." Yeah.
I was a young buck. I'm just, on my ear thinking like, "Oh yeah, cool." That's fun.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off, Adam. Did you have any other spectacular points to bless us with that you didn't tell the UMass guys before you got on here?
No. What was my question?
Well, you gave us. I just asked for the top Penn State moments. You gave us the locker room.
Oh.
Anything off the field?
One more on the field is like my first ever touchdown at Penn State. We're in the huddle against Purdue, and it was on the goal line, and Christian looks at me like right before we break the huddle, because it's like a bootleg, and he's like grabs me as he always does, and he's like, "Get your head around." That was his first thing, because they were going to bring pressure off the edge, and I was like, "What's he?" I didn't even know what you were talking about at the time, and then sure enough, I was like, clicked right as the play started. He's like, "Oh, he means look for the ball early," and then threw me my first touchdown. That was nice to you, Christian. Off the field, yeah, a lot of good memories off the field, man. Yeah, we had a good Nittany Apartments, good time. 1101 Nittany Apartments.
Yeah,
it was a good time, man. We had a lot of fun.
Whipple, shout out to young Whipple.
Yeah,
you guys.
Yeah, Austin Whipple. Shout out Austin Whip, the roommate from back in the day.
I think a lot of those stories from off the field should be better off kept in a ball.
Fair enough. I appreciate
we had fun, but we were good. We were good kids.
Very good.
For the most
part.
Yeah,
we were.
Good college kids.
I think whatever that definition means loosely.
I remember, here's another Bill O'Brien story. So when we were off campus, we had – so if you remember, like freshman year, I enrolled early. B-Bell, you weren't early. No, you weren't an early enroller. So I was early. So I lived in the Nittany Apartments when all the rest of the freshmen lived in the dorms. So I had 1101 Nittany Apartments when you guys all got there.
Privilege.
So, of course, like because I had an apartment, we were the gathering spot for all the team, right? So all the players would come over. You guys would all come to 1101. We would throw some gatherings at 1101 Nittany Apartments my freshman year. And but you weren't allowed to do that at Nittany Apartments. It's an on-campus apartment. It's a dry campus, no alcohol, no parties, no noise after like 10 p.m. Well, we threw a lot of parties, obviously, and had some fun. Freshman year, I remember I got written up one time. I got written up by the campus, not like the police, like the campus security, whatever. Like they wrote my name up and they emailed. Maybe it was Kirk Deal, like someone at Penn State. They emailed, and it got to Bill O'Brien that I got written up. So freshman year, I'll never forget this. I'm in the weight room working out with Fitz, and O'Brien comes over the balcony at the weight room, and he's like, "Breneman!" And I'm like, I look up, and he's like, "Come here." So I like run up the stairs, and he's like, "Come here." And we walk to his office, and I sit down, and he's like, "You got written up last weekend?" I was like, coach. Like, I thought he was like kind of joking around. I'm like, coach. Like, yeah, I got written up. It won't happen again. He's like, how many? This is before the freshman season. He said, how many passes have you called at Penn State? And I was like, none. And he goes, and you will never fucking catch one if you get written up again. And then he's like, go back to the weight room. And that was it.
I could see his stern ass face.
I thought he was like half joking when he brought me up. He was like, they wrote you up. You know, he wasn't joking.
Man. He is a national treasure, folks. And yeah, B-Bell, you're right.
Him and Fitz. We'll reach out.
That would be a good one. Yeah, Fitz. Fitz is actually close. You know, he's up in North Jersey.
Yeah, he's right down the street from me.
Close by.
That'd be funny. So that's how focused we are on UMass. We're telling old war stories. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing some explosive out of these boys, and I think that's all fine and dandy. I think we need to have that in this pod. I thought that was fantastic segment. Kicking us right into mailbag, which has become another fantastic segment here on the Pocket. And because we've kept Adam here for the mailbag, there are some questions directed towards Adam.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I'll start with that one. We got one from Herf Joan _.
Oh no.
You know who that is?
Yeah, it's Ryan Herf.
Your boy.
Even perfect, dude. Even better. Shout out Ryan Herf for this one. Rumor has it Adam will be doing the coin flip prior to kickoff. It's only right.
Is this breaking news?
What do you got for that, Adam? Is this something that we don't No?
Yeah, I have not been invited to the coin flip. Did not get any invites from the Penn State program, although they've been great to me. Haven't invited me to this game.
No honorary captain.
But I will say UMass did ask me to join the radio broadcast for the Penn State UMass game. Unfortunately, I will not be at the game. I am calling the Troy Army game on CBS Sports Network on Saturday at 3:30. So I will be engulfed in Army football during this Penn State UMass game. So I will not be there. Did not get asked to do the coin flip. I don't think that I am relevant enough at Penn State to be asked to do that. Maybe Christian Hackenberg will get an invite for a coin flip, but I didn't save the program. You know?
No, I think you just got double booked. Penn State got double booked. So it's okay.
Wait. Let me get the next mailbag. This is perfect for this pod. You guys been listening. These two have been going at it the whole episode. So Nittany _lover says, Penn State lifer and just found out about the Lions Den podcast. Shout out to those guys, Dawk and Hawk and Jerry and those guys. And he says, and the meaning behind their name. If Hack and Adam were put into the Lions Den drill, who's coming out on top?
Oh, like right now? I'm definitely running through that motherfucker right now. Oh, brother,
I think I would give it. I think I would give it to Hack. I'm not in top shape. My knee's falling apart. I don't think that I would. I don't think I would perform very well. So I'll give Hack that.
I'll say this: in your prime, both your Penn State primes. Me and Adam went added a bunch, tight end linebackers, you know. But Hack, there was one moment in Haluba, you goddamn stiff arm me as you're going out of bounds. I'll never forget this. I was so heated. You know, you're not supposed to touch the quarterback. Can't touch the quarterback.
Yeah, you looked at me, and I did say my bad. I think I did. You looked at me, though, like you were about to chin check me, dude. I do remember that.
I was pissed, but I did respect that. I was like, okay, he has a lot more punch than I maybe ever knew he did. So,
yeah.
Mike might have got that. I don't know. But, Breneman, you were feisty for sure, man. You were scrappy. Me and you had some battles for sure.
I was a tough blocker. Right?
Cut off. I don't think he was point of attack. We weren't running sword and lance too Breneman too often.
Hack would check the run away from me every time I was running to Jesse James.
Yeah, I was about to say, you go to Jesse for that one.
Bill would be like blue lance, and that meant, you know, you could flip it either way, and I was pretty much going away from 81. That was the given. Oh, man. Daggum. So let's go to Jenny Kramer 10 _. Loving the interaction here. We got a good little group. Not looking like an even matchup against UMass for obvious reasons. What do you guys need to see from this offense to feel confident about the time off from the bye week and leading up to the Ohio State game? So something we already kind of touched on, but she did mention leading up to the Ohio State game, and I did mention how I think during the time off they probably spent some time on it. Therefore, do you think that affects the game plan at all? I think that I'm going to elaborate on Jenny's question here. Do you think that affects the game plan offensively heading into UMass?
What's that like?
The thought of Ohio State being next week, having a bye week where, again, I think that they probably had some free time on their hands at some point in time and may or may not have had a couple scripted periods towards some things that they're going to see at the Horseshoe on the is that the 21st?
I'll kick it off. I mean, I think so. I think yes. I mean, it goes into two different ideologies. You know, are they vanilla? Which someone did ask in here. Are they coming in here vanilla, or do they show some looks, maybe some dummy looks, or do they show real looks to kind of, you know, make you think about more, what's more to come? And I think they do open it up, kind of similar to the explosiveness conversation about Franklin and the coaching staff, hearing about it all week. I mean, obviously they plan for explosive. Every team wants explosive plays. So I think we get a conscious effort of those plays this week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think from a preparation standpoint, like I can speak to it from like being in those coaches meetings at Arizona State and what we did. we wouldn't look ahead with our players. Like the players wouldn't look ahead. We wouldn't talk to them about another opponent. We weren't doing periods in practice where it was like Ohio State period, but it was really UMass week. We didn't do that, but as coaches, we did. So like in coaches meetings and bye weeks especially, we would scout for upcoming games, big games on the schedule, and at least put a preliminary plan in place for what we would do. Like if it was a bye week and we had like, again, if we were from when I was coaching, like
SC 2 weeks ahead.
What's that?
It said if you had a team like SC 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah, exactly. You're like USC 2 weeks ahead, like, and it's a bye week. Maybe that Monday we're actually going to game plan rundowns for USC, and it's gonna give us like a base of knowledge and all this stuff to then when we get the USC week, we're ahead and we already have, okay, we know we like inside zone, we know we like counter, and we know, you kind of have that. And also the back end of the support staff is always working ahead. So like analysts, all the consultants, all the analysts off the field, which there's a ton at Penn State, are always scouting ahead on teams. So they're definitely internal at Penn State, and the coaching staff have been working ahead on Ohio State. But I promise you, Coach Franklin ain't telling that to his players or telling it publicly to anybody that they're looking ahead.
All right. Let's there's a couple here and one that I'm actually afraid of a little bit because I didn't dive into it that far. Maybe Adam has and can give some light into that. Let's do that. Let's go a repeat offender, G Money at Grant Gracia. With the Big Ten releasing the 2024 to 2028 schedules. You studied those, Adam?
I know them, but haven't studied them.
What are some of the matchups you're looking forward to, and how did you think the Big Ten handled the scheduling conflict of rivalries, distance, and strength of schedule? I think that's what SOS means.
You figured that out a lot better than that.
That's a great question. I don't have the schedule off the top of my head. I know who Penn State plays. As far as like the new opponents, I know they go to USC, which will be a cool one. So that'll be an exciting game. They host Washington, so like those are all some matchups. They host UCLA in 2024. So again, like guys that love college football, like UCLA, Penn State at Penn State in October, like that game fires me up. I think that'll be exciting. Those matchups are really cool. I do think the whole like protected rivalry thing. I've seen a lot of Penn State fans talk about this online. So like I don't know how much you guys saw the schedule. So the Big Ten. There's no divisions anymore, so everyone plays everyone like a certain amount of times every couple of years, however it works. But some schools have protected rivals where they play them every year, and it's like Penn State or it's Michigan and Ohio State, it's Oregon and Washington, it's USC, UCLA, it's whatever. Penn State is the only school in the Big Ten with no protected rival in the Big Ten schedule. Only school. Every other program has like Maryland Rutgers protected rival. Like everyone has a protected rival other than Penn State, and everyone's freaking out. Like, why don't we have a protected rival? Why don't we? But like, and I actually talked to Coach Franklin about this. Like, why would Penn State want a protected rival?
Because we're on rival, dude.
Who would it be? Number one, and if it's Ohio State or Michigan, so you're going to say, okay, we're going to guarantee we play Ohio State every year. Or we're going to guarantee we play Michigan every year, and then like if our protected rivals like Maryland, like who even wants them? Who wants that as a rival? So I think it actually works out well for Penn State not having a protected rival. That means that like next year Penn State doesn't play. They play Ohio State, not Michigan. So like it bodes well in that regard.
Aren't we like aren't our rivals like Wisconsin or not Wisconsin, Michigan State,
Minnesota. State and Minnesota, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So,
are they though?
But we got trophies, though, right? Like, those are trophy games, right?
Yeah,
but we are unrivaled. That's always been the same.
That's what I'm saying. We're unrivaled.
Yeah, that played in well.
Well, yeah. that was great foreshadowing by Coach Franklin.
No. He knew that was going to happen.
Dang, that's great. Dude, I wish I had that foresight.
You got any more on here?
We got to have one more, dude.
I'll pick one. Let me see.
One more. That's like not like.
What about Donnie? Don Runyon.
Get Donnie, dude.
Shout out to Donnie at Don Runyon. Why does Yurshic's play calling and aggressiveness look way different on the road than at home? This may be subjective, but
I think it might be subjective. Adam, you have the pleasure of having the tape. What have you seen? I can talk kind of high level of what I've just seen, like watching the games on TV copies, but it is hard. You got a little bit of a different vantage point there. What have you seen?
Yeah, I don't know if I really thought that the play calling per se. I mean, obviously, like on the road at Northwestern, they didn't play well. It's like that's whether
it's the execution.
Yeah, like actually, I haven't seen a massive change in like how Yurcich calls the game. But yeah, I think that they didn't play well early on against Northwestern. Obviously, played well later in the game. And I think a lot of times when things don't go well or when execution is not happening, it's easy to blame the play caller or think that things are getting called a certain way. But it may not be, or a play might have been called that just didn't get executed the right way or didn't get checked to the right call or like things like that happen. So I think it's hard to say like he's calling the game differently. I almost can probably promise you like he's not intentionally like calling the game differently based on the road or at home. It's just a matter of how the game plays out and execution and being able to, they're going to look different when they don't play well against Northwestern on the road than they do when they play West Virginia at home and are rolling on all cylinders.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hack? I mean, I can't think of anything that's super different about.
No, I mean, I can guarantee that he's not calling the game any differently. Like he's not waking up saying like I'm playing at Northwestern, I'm going to call more. Like he's not doing that. Yeah. What I did see is a lot more miscommunications. I saw some timing deficiencies with Drew and the receivers in particular on some of the more like pure field progression type stuff, pure progression type reads. Yeah. On some like third and fives and stuff like that. So it's like, I just think it again goes back to kind of just the execution, like we said, and the receiving core. Like the one thing I want to see is like one of these receivers just be that Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, even Hammy at times, like guys who like feed me the ball 15 times because I'm going to win one-on-one, because they're going to get one-on-ones because teams really can't cloud a guy and like give up everything else in Penn State's attack. Like they're so strong in the run game. They have so many good tight ends. Like you really can't try to take a singular guy away. So with that, you get a lot of one-on-ones. And like, I'd almost like to see them get to that, like, here's our zone progression, but if you got like Keandre one-on-one back here, like with a stop route or comeback or something timing related, like let's just work that. Because Drew, I think, throws those really, really well. And like I want to see Keandre just be that guy who's like, I can go out and win no matter what. Like I'm going to go win 9 times out of 10. And I think just those types of things are, again, just the evolution of a young quarterback and a play caller and getting on the same page and executing when they need to execute, how they need to execute with whatever's called. But B, do you got anything to add on that one?
No, man, I'm right with both you guys. Receivers, it's contested catches. We know it's coming. I would like to see the separation created this week, but there's athletes. Every school has athletes. Corner can stick around with the receiver, but just the contested catches, as you just said, man.
You know what I want to see? I want to see like fucking ride 135 magic to open up the game and a post over the top, dude. I want the hardest ball power run fake in the planet. Freaking send the guys kickouts and just post over, dude, and live and die by it. I bet you they run right by him.
Yeah, I mean they have the ability to.
And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that might happen with all that explosiveness commentary.
Yeah, I'm gonna say for either give me like first down,
right
early on in this game. Like I think they're or like get it like early on, like 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2. Like they'll try to get a big one.
I'm telling you,
I'm gonna predict it right now. I'm gonna go right now. We'll come back next week. I'm gonna go first down. Penn State gets next play. They'll take a play action shot.
First down, or the second and like short.
Yeah,
but I really want to see just nuts hanging first play, like bad.
Yeah,
I would if I was Mike Yurcich, that's what I would do. I'd be like, don't care. This is what's happening.
Air it out. Yeah,
first play.
It's coming. It's coming. The explosive players, we said last week, they're coming. All pass game, run game, they're coming. They're coming. Just gotta Stick the course. Stay the course.
Yep.
Or even bigger nuts. He's running punch or power first play, and then next week he opens up the game with that.
Yeah, that's cojones.
That'd be bigger. Yeah.
And I would drive to State College again on that Monday after the October 16th Champs Live podcast, and I'd buy Mike Yurcich a beer or 3.
You buy him a beer at the free event?
No. I'm saying after the following week, the following Monday, I'd take another 8 hours out of my day driving to State College and back in one day, and I'd go just to buy him a couple beers.
I'm right.
If he opens up the Ohio State game with a fucking 75-yard, 85-yard touchdown.
Only if they complete it for a touchdown.
I know. Oh, exactly. But I'm saying if he does it, I'd just be fantastic.
It's coming, man. It's coming. I can see it.
Anyway, that's a wrap, man. That's the pocket with Brandon Bell and Christian Hackenberg. We were Adam Breneman's second. I'm going to continue to remind folks that we were his backup. He chose UMass over us, so we're going to continue to beat that dead horse. I'm whipping the hell out of that. But for those of you that don't know, Adam is a co-founder of Mercury. He's part of the team that brought this podcast together, so we are forever grateful for that. This is just the beginning. If you guys would be so kind as to give this a like, subscribe, follow us, spread it through your friend groups, at State Media PSU. We're on YouTube and anywhere else you can find podcasts. It will be greatly appreciated. We always appreciate the Mailbag Monday participation, and we will continue to give you guys your roses with that. B-Bell's up next week. Champs Live event. Am I missing anything else, boys?
Can I give a closing comment?
Yeah, sure.
So.
Sure. Number one, would love to see everyone at Champs. As Hack has said, we'll all be there, which will be great. I'm not just saying this because we're on the pod, but you guys have been killing it with this. It's been fun to see all the clips on social media, everyone loving it, Penn State fans loving it. It's been fun to see both of you guys get in the media space, get Hackenberg out and about in the Penn State world. I mean, we didn't hear from the guy for 6 years, and now he's back involved and doing stuff. So you guys have been crushing it. This thing's going to keep growing and growing. We'll do more and more stuff. Love what you guys have done, and obviously I think it's important too for Penn State fans to hear your guys' voices, because you both were very instrumental in being part of one of the most important times in the history of the program. So it's been sweet, and love everything we're doing with State Media. Christian, you're obviously a huge part of what we're doing, and the other shows, the Lions Den with Aeneas and Jerry Cross and Nick Dawkins. Hardcore PSU is an awesome show. Everyone should check out on the YouTube channel too. So love what you guys are doing, and I appreciate all the hard work you guys put in this pod. It's been fun to watch it grow.
Appreciate it.
To the moon, baby. Lift the roof. AB, you're the man, bro. Appreciate it. Have a great night. B, we will be back next week.
Let's get it.